What up, people? What's good? What's up? It's me. Y'all know. L Teddy 27, Angry Teacher Chronicles, all of that good stuff. And I'm here with a new show tonight that I am reviewing called For Life. It comes on ABC. I think it is a limited series. I'm not sure, but I know it's I think it's executive produced by 50 Cent, and it's based off of a true story. It's based off of the life of an actual individual. Um, so let me give you some of the background information, and then we'll get right down to it. Um, well, let me tell you my first reactions. I saw previews. I was kind of on the fence, but I did like the show. Grabbed me enough to where I said, you know what? Let me take a stab at reviewing this show. So I hope you enjoy these reviews. If you're not watching this show, you can go. I think to the ABC app or the ABC website, or it might be, there are all kinds of places where you can go and watch this show. But it's called For Life. The main character's name is Aaron Wallace. He's in prison for life. He has life in prison. He's been sentenced to life in prison. We find out the background information. He was the owner of a club. He had a girlfriend, a daughter, and one day there was this looked to be like a sting that they were doing, where there were people who worked in the club for him, and they were, pushing drugs out of the club unbeknownst to him. So he ended up getting arrested because he was the owner of the club. He got the lion's share of the sentencing because they tried to put a lot of stuff on him. And long story short, he ended up life in prison for what he said was crimes he did not commit. And so we later find out during this first episode that while he's been in jail, he found a lot of loopholes. He found a loophole where he was able to work as like a paralegal, and that gave him access to the law libraries, which then allowed him to study law and get a law degree from an unaccredited college. From an unaccredited law school, and then he ended up taking the bar in the state of Vermont, which allows you to take the bar exam with a degree from an unaccredited college. And then with his law degree and law license in Vermont, he then did a transfer in order to get a law license in New York, and he found a loophole. Bim bam boom, he has a law license while in prison. So at first it afforded him the opportunity to represent other prisoners before the warden and be like, the advocate or the person that would argue and advocate on behalf of inmates before the warden to get reduced disciplinary actions inside of the prison. It wouldn't reduce their sentences, but certainly to help when they would have disciplinary actions on them inside of prison, and he would be their advocate to kind of work with that. Anyway, that's the background information. We start off, he's at this court case. He's defending one of his fellow prisoners. What ends up happening is they transport them to the courtroom, and he takes off his prison garb, and then he dons a nice suit and tie and so forth, all of the stuff. One of his fellow inmates was accused of statutory rape and accused of attempted murder because The guy turned 18. His girlfriend was 15. Well, he was 17, dating a 15-year-old. And then he tried to break up with her before he turned 18 because he knew once he turned 18 in the state of New York, even though they were in school together, it was statutory rape. Long story, just without going into all of the intimate details and nuances of the case. She ended up getting some pills from somebody at the school, taking them and trying to kill herself because she couldn't stand not being able to be with him. And he was there and he didn't know she was going to kill herself, try to kill herself. She ended up surviving. And the parents ended up, trying to get the book thrown at him, which they did. And he ended up getting like 20 years in prison. But Aaron Wallace was trying to get the trial reopened because there were a lot of discrepancies in the witnesses and possible witness tampering, evidence tampering, and this, that, and the third. So he was first trying to get the trial reopened. He went and argued for the reopening of the trial, and that ended up going through, getting approved. And so while he's back in prison studying and so forth, we find out that this was his first case. The guy who he's arguing against, the other lawyer, was one of the lawyers responsible for having him in prison for life. And that lawyer is also one of the right-hand men and attorneys for the district, for the DA, the district attorney, who is currently running in an election to be the new Attorney General of New York. Now, the plan of Aaron Wallace is to try all of these cases to get them reopened and to prove that the DA is corrupt and that the DA does things in order to get convictions that are not ethically right, that probably would be enough to make people look back at all of his cases. And so his long game is to eventually get his own case looked into so that way he can get out of this life sentence. Anyway, so at one point the baby mama comes to visit him. His baby mama ex-girlfriend comes to visit him. And he finds out that his daughter isn't doing well in school. Her grades are falling, so forth and so on. And so they have this back and forth, and we learned that she wanted him to take a plea deal when he first got convicted. She wanted him to take a plea deal, and he said no, because if he took a plea deal, he would have got 20 years, which could have been reduced to 12 years with, I guess time served or possibility of parole after 12 years. Apparently, he's been in there 9 years at this point. Okay? So we find that. Now, when I was looking at this part, I noticed, I said, well, if he'd been in prison for 9 years, I immediately said, well, I'm sure old girl is getting it from somebody. And so we find out that she does have somebody who she's with, and Aaron knows who the person is. We'll get back to who the person is a little bit later. So she's kind of upset. You can tell she still really loves him and has feelings for him. She's upset he didn't take the plea deal. So we'll see, in probably subsequent episodes how all of this really shakes down, because you can tell there is still a connection between those two. So you see this fight between two white guys. One guy gets put in the hole, I think, or something like that. So Aaron is out on the yard, outside, where they do rec time and stuff like that. One of the white guys approaches and wants to talk to Aaron, because remember I told y'all Aaron is the guy who represents the prisoners and fights for them with the warden, okay? we find out that this warden is female and she's new, and she's trying a lot of radical ideas at this prison, trying to do away with a lot of things that traditionally, have been put in place and done. Like, she eventually wants to get rid of solitary confinement and the hole and stuff like that. So she has a lot of radical ideas that the correctional officers don't really agree with. And she's been working with Aaron to find ulterior means and methods by which to have disciplinary action. So keep that in mind. So the white guy looked like he a member of the Aryan Nation. His name is Wild Bill. He comes up to him and he says, listen, I need you representing all these people in front of the warden. I need you to represent my guy because they got my guy in the hole, and I need my guy out of there. So he kind of looks at him and he said, listen, if I represent your boy, it ain't going to go over well with my people because y'all are racist white people and I'm black and I hang with the black people. So he was like, I don't know about all that. So then we learned that, like I said, he did get approved. He won that part of the battle to get the case reopened, which he did, the warden tells him. And you see this conversation between he and the warden, and you see that him and the warden have a great relationship. Like, they have an understanding. She's aware that he's going to be taking these cases, this, that, and the third. She's backing him. And even the white guy, Wild Bill, that was one of the mechanisms he used to try to get Aaron to represent the white guy by saying, well, you do spend a lot of time up there in the warden's office, and I'm sure that a lot of your friends wouldn't like to hear that you maybe be telling the warden some bad things about them, or telling the warden things that you don't want them to know you be telling her. So you see that conversation between the warden and Aaron, and you can see they have a good working relationship. We see the warden at home. Okay, beautiful lady, the warden. She's a lesbian. She has a wife. Her wife is running against the DA for attorney general. Okay? Now, we also see when Aaron left the courtroom the first time after defending, making his case before the judge to reopen the trial, we learn that we see Aaron, I should say, get in front of the television and start to say, oh, the DA is crooked and I'm here, doing these cases in order to prove that the DA is, crooked and doing all of these things, these nefarious things that he should not be doing, and, probably shouldn't be elected. There's a conflict of interest because the warden is married to the lady running against the DA. And the warden is backing Aaron and allowing Aaron to go try all of these cases. That is making the DA look bad. It's a whole conflict of interest. You see what I'm saying? Connect those dots. So then we see Aaron's baby mama and the daughter. We meet the daughter. The daughter wants to go see her daddy. The mama said no. And I was wondering, because the mom seemed to have a good relationship with Aaron, I was like, well, why she won't let her go see her daddy? We're going to find that out later. I was like, why she won't let the girl go see her daddy? The man who the mama dating come in there, and the daughter don't like him. And the daughter don't like him because it's her dad's best friend. And the dad best friend done went and got in bed with the baby mama. Okay? They living together and fucking. And so naturally the daughter love her daddy and the daughter don't like him. And she lets it be known every time she can. A mess. That's a mess. Anyway, so there was this, like clockwork, when you're a district attorney, you're powerful. So the district attorney sees that after, Aaron went on the television, and started saying all of these things, and Aaron becomes, instantly kind of, famous because This is the first time they'd had an actual inmate become a licensed lawyer and, practice law. Like real cases in real courtrooms. So it's getting traction, and the DA is in the middle of an election. It's like 4 months before election. So he doesn't want this to, cost him votes. So he starts to do things, as you can probably imagine. So when they're on their way being transported to the trial, because Aaron had worked out this deal where he got one of the former witnesses to admit that he lied, and he was supposed to come and testify, and one of the old police officers was supposed to come and testify that they, lied or did things to mess up the case for the inmate that he's defending. Baby, when they being transported, not a driver wants to take this different route. They get to court 2 hours late. 2 hours late. The witness done left. No, I'm sorry. The police witness had to conveniently work undercover. The guy who had told him he was going to recant his original testimony and admit the truth, now then told the district attorney and stuff like that, and the assistant DA that, oh no, he supports his original testimony. All of this, that, and the third. You knew they were going to do everything they can. Aaron gets visibly upset, loses his cool, starts yelling in the courtroom, and the judge immediately tells him, hey, boo, what you doing? Because I can find you in contempt. And she lets him know, listen, whatever deal you got going on with the bar association that allows you to practice law is tenuous at best, sweetheart. You might want to keep it cute. And so what I took from that is that Aaron had to know that they weren't going to roll over and play dead for him, that this wasn't going to be easy. And Aaron has to realize that he's not going to be able to just think one step ahead. He's got to think 12 steps ahead, because there's always going to be people and mechanisms in place to stop him. And so he's going to have to think of every scenario of how they could try and mess up what he got going on. So then, you see the DA, not the DA, the warden is at this party with her wife. The DA is there as well. And the DA goes up to the warden's wife and says, y'all better stop this young man, because I don't think the general public wants to, and the people you think gonna vote for you will want to know the conflict of interest that your wife has going on with this guy. So it was he tried to threaten them. And that makes the warden talk to Aaron the next day. So the warden talks to Aaron and say, listen, Aaron, you got to back off after this. You got to back the hell off. Because this is not good for business. It's not good for my wife and what we got going on. So Aaron, after all of this stuff that's coming down on him, everything seems not going right. He decides to do what a criminal does and breaks the law. So he concocts this thing where he goes to the white guy, Wild Bill, and says, I need a favor. I'll represent your boy if you do me a favor. So one of the people that works for the white guy knows how to forge stuff. So they forged the girl's letter. And they go and do this whole thing where they, make it look old and have her handwrite. All this, that, and the third. They getting done. And they're falsifying evidence. But when he goes back to trial and they put the girl back on the stand, it works. The girl admitted she lied. She's crying. It was powerful testimony. If you don't watch nothing else from the episode, watch the testimony from the girl. Powerful testimony. She admits she lied. She admits that in her original testimony that her parents and the attorneys made her lie and stuff like that. And she like, oh boy, here we go in my damn central air conditioning. Anyway, the guy gets, of course, the case gets thrown out. The prisoner gets, released. Aaron wins his first case. And he's all happy and stuff like that. But baby, when he gets back to the prison, him and the warden have another conversation. The warden say, listen, you're not allowed to do any more cases like this until after the election. My wife made a deal with the DA, and it was said that you ain't gonna do no more of these cases. So he kind of like begrudgingly says, okay, I'll see what I can do. You know, I'll do that for you. And but because the election is like 4 months away, so she said, listen, it's only 4 months. Play the long game. Because he was like, let's just say, God forbid, he does win and become the Attorney General. They can snatch your law license. Then his daughter comes to visit him. Come to find out, the reason the daughter wasn't going, the mom wasn't letting the daughter go visit her, because the daughter's pregnant, like 4.5 months pregnant. Not 4.5 months, she was 17 weeks, she was like 4 months pregnant. And the daughter thinks that the dad is going to be upset. And he's not. You know, he loves his daughter, this, that, and the third. And so the daughter says, it's a boy and I want to name him Aaron, after her dad. And she tells him, listen, I need you to be here for him. I need my dad to be there for my son. And her boyfriend is still with her. Her boyfriend is taking responsibility with her, and there, you know, he's still involved with the girl. So it's at that point that Aaron decides, okay, I'm not gonna wait until after the election. I don't have this kind of time. I gotta do what I got to do to make the DA look bad, or to make the DA make all of these things I need to happen with the DA, so that I can get my own case reopened, and I can find a way to get out of jail, so that I can be there for my grandson. And it goes off from there. And like I said, it was a really good first episode. It was great acting. I love the fact that now, from what I understand, at some point we are going to see 50 in it. But I'm glad he wasn't in the first episode, because I probably wouldn't have liked it. But it was some good acting. I like the storylines. I like some of the things that, some of the foundation that they have set in motion. It looks like there's going to be high drama. It looks like there's going to be a lot going on. And I'm really digging the show. I like that there's a lot of good new black actors and actresses that I haven't necessarily seen. And then you see some actors and actresses, black and white, that you have seen before. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. Y'all let me know if you've seen the show. Let's get in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel. I feel like the warden and Aaron are going to end up going at it, because like that conflict of interest is going to be a problem. I also feel like the daughter's pregnancy is also going to be a problem with Aaron, because I don't know if the boyfriend going to stay in it with the daughter like that. But we'll see how this shakes out. We'll see how it works out. Well, let's get in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about it. And we'll go from there. That's all I got until next week. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.